Not almond butter in the grilled cheese, but we're gonna be making a grilled cheese and almond butter. But who's to say I won't dip the grilled cheese in the almond butter? Good morning, y'all. I am gonna try to make a grilled cheese, and we're gonna roast some almonds for almond butter making. And I have some Brussels sprouts and some cabbage that I might want to roast in the oven as well. So I am trying to get more vegetables into my system. I have not been doing a great job of feeding my body what I need to feed it in order for it to function. But progress every day. So let's preheat our oven. I'm making the almond butter for a friend. I still have some of my own. But I figured this is a great chance for me to roast my cabbage and Brussels as well. I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees. And we're just gonna toss that in there. I'll set a timer for 15. I like it on the darker side. On your way to Disneyland? Wow. I've never been. I don't think I will ever go, but I hope you enjoy. Hello, Virginia. How was my date? It was good. It was fine. We ate some very pricey lasagna at a place in Ridgewood, Queens called Rolo's. And all of my friends who work in food have been telling me about this place and how amazing the green lasagna is. So we went, we ate it. The lasagna was like 26 bucks, and then you have to factor in tax and tip. We ordered that, and we ordered a polenta bread, and we shared 2 scoops of ice cream, and he got a drink, and I think we ended up paying like $77. And we were both still hungry after that. So I came back and I ate a second dinner at midnight. But yeah, pretty chill date. Walked around a bit. It was really rainy and cold, so it wasn't really ideal weather for walking around, but we had good talks and pretty direct communication, which is always a bonus. Actually, it's not a bonus, it's a non-negotiable for me. I need direct communication, and so far it's been very direct communication. Will there be a third date? I don't know if we're going to be like romantically dating. I think we had a discussion regarding what we were feeling, and I think we're both very interested in each other as people. But I don't know if it's going to have like traditional romantic potential, which is fine. I am not disappointed. I am trying to stay open to different connections, and it's always nice to find people that you can develop with, learn from, talk with, and just get different life experiences out of. Hi, Japan. make this grilled cheese yesterday, but my day kind of just like ran away from me, and then I spent 3.5 hours last night crimping dumplings for Grandma again. My middle school friend came over and we just hung out and talked while I made dumplings for 3.5 hours, and it was a very lovely, calming night. And now I have enough dumplings for maybe 10 days. So, hi Finland. Any plans to get more tattoos? I don't have any solid plans to get more tattoos, but oh yeah. As soon as I get more money and time, I will be getting more tattoos. Hi Costa Rica. Hello, somewhere very close to where I live. That's not creepy at all. Nervous laughter. It is currently almost 10 a.m. here in New York. Yes, you are very behind. Yes, I moved in November. Stay really close. Makes me feel less nervous. I'm going to boil some water. We're gonna make some tea or coffee actually. Coffee's good. I've gotten all my tattoos from all different artists. I really do want to have some repeats, but I also want to reserve some real estate on my body for different artists to draw on too. So it's a lot of desire and not a lot of resources. So I'm not in a bad mood. So I guess I'm in a good mood so far, unless life decides to beat me down later. Hello, people who are coming in from work. I see you. I see you skipping out on capitalism. I'm proud of you. Okay. So, I bought 2 bags of Brussels sprouts because they were only $1 each. And I thought, damn, that's a good deal. And then I walked into another store with Samira on an evening walk, and they had cabbage for 29 cents a pound, which is a price I have not seen since maybe like over a decade ago when I left New York City to go to college in PA. So this is very exciting. I think this whole head costs like $1.70. And I've already used some for Grandma's dumplings yesterday. And yes, I do have a lot of tattoo artists who are abroad. A lot of them are in Montreal, and I'm planning to go one day to get some tattoos and also to eat those frickin' Saint Viateur bagels. It's on my bucket list. Oh, St. Patrick's Day! Didn't even make that connection. I also have an artist who I'm following who tattoos out of Berlin. I really want something from him. So, do I mind sharing what I put in my dumplings? Pork, some sort of cabbage, scallions, maybe some carrots, mushrooms, salt, white pepper, Sichuan peppercorns, MSG, soy sauce, vinegar, sugar. Oh shit, I forgot to put sugar. Whatever. Grandma will have to deal with it. I've not made classical kimchi, no. I've tried to make like trash kimchi, and it kind of worked. Good luck for your second interview. I went to Swarthmore for college. I feel like if you guys Google my name, you'll see my entire life history. My entire education and work trajectory is fully on LinkedIn. So Google will tell you almost everything you want to know about me. I don't even know what the Irish things to do with cabbage are. I just know cabbage to be one of the greatest, most versatile vegetables ever. Swarthmore is right next to Media. It's half an hour outside of Philadelphia. Like by SEPTA. Half an hour by SEPTA. We love very white girls who's never made dumplings before making dumplings. I hope you have so much fun. You're gonna feel so frustrated if you aim for perfection, so just laugh at the process. Crimping dumplings can be very intimidating and difficult the first time you do it, but I truly don't give a shit anymore, and when you stop giving a shit, things work out, you know? It's weird how that happens, but it happens. They are huge. So big. Very white girl dumplings are called pierogies. You know, I've never made pierogies before, so let me show you the dumplings I made last night. A whole bag. So I think this is enough for 10 days. I hope. I really don't have time to make them again for the next week. I do want to make pierogies. I love them. Am I planting a garden? No, not yet. Don't mistake me. I love pierogies. I have nothing against them. Yes, also, chicken and dumplings, the American food item, so fucking confusing for me as someone who's always known dumplings to be a wrapper filled with something. But like Southern chicken and dumplings is literally just balls of leavened dough cooked in broth. Okay. Let's see. How would my chef be yelling at me about how inefficiently I'm doing this whole process? I will trim off all the ends first and then go back and halve them. She would tell me, this is a chef who's like severely traumatized me, but she would tell me to never commit the same action in different rounds, to always just prep them. It's very robotic. The way they make you work in restaurants is to turn your actions into robot movements. So you really, like, just do one thing at a time. So I'm going to trim all the ends off, and then I'll go back and halve them. Apparently this is more efficient than trimming the ends of one, having it and then repeating it with the next Brussels. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I'm doing. Chicken and dumpling. Third chef. Yes, chef. Yes, I do have a huge fan club for the burn mark on this cutting board. I love that you guys love it. What's the burn mark story? There's not really much of a story. It was just me being done as fuck. Oh, last time when we were discussing comments about how I curse too much in my videos, it was hilarious when I posted it on Instagram and I asked people's thoughts on why people get so offended when I curse. And somebody's response was regarding how intelligent people don't need to curse to get their point across. And y'all, if that is not the most classist shit I've ever heard, well, I've definitely heard more classist shit. But that is one of the most, like, I don't know, man. You gotta think long and hard if that's really what you believe, that cursing is a sign of your intelligence. It sounds really fucked up to me. And I don't agree with that at all. Let's see. What tea shall we drink today? Oop. Yep. And cursing isn't just for displaying anger. You have to think about how language functions as a whole. You have the linguistic definition of the word, then you have the cultural distortion of that definition. You add in tone, you add in volume, you add in intention, you add in mood, you add in the context, you add in the background relationship of who's being addressed and who's talking. There is so much to factor into thinking about how language works, that to say using a curse word simply is denoting a very specific characteristic is just really fucking close-minded. And why is it that we've made cursing not acceptable in professional relationships and environments? Because guess what? When I got fired, one of my feedback from HR regarding my quote-unquote unacceptable workplace behavior was that I used vulgar language. And you know who else uses vulgar language and gets away with it every day? My boss. So those rules are not applied equally. They are only enforced when they have a purpose in being enforced. Which is to say, we have laws not because we believe in justice as a society, but because we need laws to be there when we want to punish certain people to keep them in line. I don't need to tell you this. If you've paid attention to the news at all in the last 10 plus years, you would see more and more stories uncovering all the different ways in which the same law is applied to different people differently. So, let's just think about where these rules come from, who's enforcing them, who's using them, who's getting what out of them. And if that kind of behavior is actually morally acceptable, or perhaps we should just fuck away with the whole system of morality too, because morality is just another de facto law of how we function in society and how we punish people for being immoral, how we judge people for making the choices that they make. I'm not saying that you can't ever do a bad thing, but I'm just saying good and bad is open to constant redefining. So. Could I have been more polite in the workplace? Yeah. But was I comparatively something or other? I don't know. Depends on who's comparing me. I think over time I just had to learn that I don't give a shit anymore. This is a great chance for me to try out some of our spices. What do we got? What do we got? Okay, I have this shimmer salt. This is a Jong Kung collab. I've not used it yet. Brand new. We're gonna smell it, we're gonna taste it. Salt, Timor pepper, and black lime. Ooh. Ooh, it's very citrusy and floral. Fascinating. It reminds me of like a freshly peeled orange. Like when the zest kind of floats into the air. And then you have a little bit of funky mustiness that feels like citron peppercorn. That was not good. Let's try to salvage that. We might need to work on packaging a little bit. Be careful. So if you do buy the spice, maybe don't rely on the maybe don't rely on this packaging. Well, that goes almost my whole bottle. But it's okay. I will use it. No worries. We love a good surprise to wake you up in the morning, eh? Eh? All right, let me move my almonds into. I think it helps that I did not pay for that jar. I think if I paid full price for that jar and that happened, I would have been like, bro. But I will pass this along to my teammates now and be like, bro. I will say, it fucking smells amazing in here. It smells like somebody just peeled 25 oranges. And it's not any normal orange. It's like very reminiscent of oranges that I stole off of a tree in Japan when I was biking through the Shimanami Kaido with Aaron, which was one of the worst days of my life because I had my period, it was raining, we had no rain gear, we were trying to finish the whole ride in a day and I was like not having it. But that aside, it was an amazingly fragrant, fresh, juicy, sweet, flavorful orange, and the smell is reminding me of that. My hands, which I just washed without soap, smells like Aesop soap. Do you know Aesop soap? They're like $98 a bottle. It smells really good. It doesn't even smell like orange, it smells like orange blossom with a little bit of zest oil. Hi, Sydney. Yeah, I usually don't use the shaker either because as a person who recipe develops a lot, I've usually had to get more precise amounts than just shaking them on. But, you know, as a home cook, I use the shaker, but that was not a great shaker. Product review happening in real time. Does smell good though. Oh, cheddar jalapeno popcorn sounds amazing. Probably smells pretty good too. I will make that grilled cheese. I need to get that recipe in by noon. How did I get involved with the spice company? When I was working at Delish, I ordered some spices from Burlap and Barrel for the spice show. And because they're such a small company, Ethan, one of the co-founders, basically he sees every order that comes through. Like they're such a small team. They basically know all of their customers, and he shot me an email and he was like, it looks like we're neighbors. Do you want to get lunch and talk? And he had seen, I think, some of my videos at that time, And so we met up and we talked about what I do at Delish and what he does. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a show about spices. Like, do you want to share your obvious love and knowledge of spices with our audience? Like, it would give your company some exposure, but also like it would be amazing to have a resource like you who knows what the hell they're talking about, who's been on the ground sourcing all these spices in person, and you know, it's a company that has a good mission statement. So that's how we got to know each other, is through me ordering spices from them for work. And we're basically neighbors. We both live in Queens. And he reached out after I got fired. And he was like, do you want to do something with us? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like it could work. So it's a small company. I don't really have much of a too defined role right now, but I'm taking part in writing some newsletters, developing some recipes for stuff like the Spice Club, which is a subscription service that happens quarterly, so 4 spice box shipments per year, and that usually comes with like 4 spices plus a food collaboration product plus some recipes in a pamphlet. So that is how we got here. When I was kind of chatting / interviewing with Ethan and Ori, the other co-founder, and they were asking me what I wanted to do in the future, like where I saw myself, I was just like, honestly, I can do anything, as I just don't want to work for assholes anymore. And they were like, cool. And I do believe that. Like, I think I can do a lot of things. I can make myself fit in a lot of places, as long as it's a good place. I don't want to make myself fit into a bad place. It's just, Mom died, and I saw how life is so unpredictable, and I was done with fitting into bad places that didn't really want me. So we're still learning. I don't really know what I want in so many areas of life, but I also know now much more what I don't want. And I know much more now what is non-negotiable. And every time I get hurt, every time I feel betrayed, every time I feel misled, I am trying to keep this idea that I am learning through all of those experiences and trying not to have them discourage me too much in terms of being scared to continue trying new things. And this applies to both jobs and dating. Because, gosh, they're so similar in so many different ways. Jobs and dating are so fucking similar. You constantly have to like negotiate boundaries and stay in communication regarding what you want, and it takes a lot out of you to know exactly what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with. It's a lot of conversations with yourself, at least from my experience it is. We'll set that for 25 minutes, and we'll move on to our cabbage. No new tattoo since my last video's revelation of my last tattoo. I don't have, guys, they cost a lot in New York City. They're really expensive. Like, I would say the majority of my pieces hover around the $400 mark. And that's with, you tip too. So I need to get more money into the bank before I can put it on my body. And it's also nice to have a little bit of a lull, because it does take a lot out of your body to kind of go through that. If you think about it, it's a traumatic experience for your body to be like constantly stabbed over a number of hours, and then it has to heal what is essentially a wound. So I got 3 total tattoos over the course of December and January, and so I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and let them sink in before I move on to my next. If I could do anything, what would my dream job be? Honestly, I love the lifestyle of freelancing and doing different things, but I also hate the logistical nightmares of like tracking hours, invoicing, finding clients, negotiating your own time schedule. Like, the structure is just all on you to figure out, and that scheduling is like being your own manager. So it takes a lot of practice, which I don't have yet, to even understand what it would mean to be efficient at managing yourself. So it's exhausting, but if I could do anything I wanted to, I'm doing it. I'm cooking, I'm communicating with people, I'm connecting with people, I'm making stuff that people want to see, I'm helping people feel good sometimes, I think, I hope. Sometimes I also make people feel bad, but that just comes with life. And I get to eat a lot of things, I get to try a lot of things, I get to describe them, I get to use language to give a secondhand experience to the best of my abilities. Like, I like all of these things. So I am very happy with where I am in life, especially if I'm not looking into the future like society has always taught me to. So I'm shifting my perspective in such a way that I am focused on now, which is a very different mode of operating. Let's figure out how to do this. So unfortunately, Burlap and Barrel really doesn't do sales. They just don't do discounts. But if you look in the description box, I have a affiliate link. It does not give you any discounts. All it does is give me a kickback. So definitely don't order the spices just to give me a kickback. Order the spices if you think they will bring some sort of color and joy into your life. And as always, I will try to be objective in my review, and as such, you know, I can't really help but be objective, as you just saw what happened with the packaging, which is part of the product experience. It's about the quality of the spices, it's about how they're sourced, it's about how they pay the farmers, it's about how the plants and crops are grown, but it's also about the customer experience. So my customer experience with this packaging was not great just now. But this is feedback that I can then give to the team. I'm putting it into a different jar because I don't know if there's moisture in here now, and it's basically contaminated with cabbage juice and olive oil, which is not the worst thing it could be contaminated with, but I just also don't want to introduce elements of moisture back into the original jar. But yeah, this looks nice. Nice chunky salt and finely ground spices. Definitely looks like Sichuan peppercorn, with like the hulls. But it's Timor pepper, which I don't think I've ever actually had, so let's taste it a little bit. I have tried their cinnamon. Their cinnamon is super good. It's one of the best sellers. It's constantly in like the top 3. And I've had a jar of cinnamon open since doing the cinnamon show, which has been over a year now, and it is still very good. Like, I have some from Spice House, and it's better than Spice House's, in my opinion. Wow, this would be really good on fish. This would be so good on fish. It could be good on like whitefish. It could be good on fatty fish like salmon. It would blend so well into the oils, or just stay delicate on the tender, fleshy bits. It could be really good with lobster too, I think. Ooh. And it does make my lips buzz a little bit right here. I'm not a huge fan of lobster at all. It is one of my least favorite proteins. It is one of my least favorite seafoods. I think it's really hard to make lobster taste good, in my opinion. And I agree, crab is so much better. One of my favorite ways to eat cabbage is just roasted wedges. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to keep the core intact so that the wedges don't completely fall apart, although as you see they will. But we're just aiming for as much cohesion as is feasible. Trying to get the wedges all the same width too, so that they roast similar rates. Steamed clams, very interesting. Hi Singapore. Let's try another one of our John Kung collabs. This one is Smoldering Embers. I think I used this last time. This one does not have salt in it, so we're gonna add some salt in here first. Let's see, this one has coriander, urfa chili, cumin, smoked star anise, black cardamom, bay leaf, and garlic. And yeah, you know what guys, there is something wrong with this batch of packaging, I think, because I just noticed a little nick in the topper here. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of reporting and investigation here. I'm holding it in place, don't worry. Yes, you are live. Welcome to being alive. I tried to face the tougher parts of the cabbage out towards the ends of the tray, because that's where my tray gets the hottest and that's where they're more likely to burn. So I turn the tougher parts out so that they can cook a little bit faster. This also prevents too much burning from the smaller bits and pieces. Pickled cabbage. Yum, that sounds good. Looks like we're gonna need an olive oil refill. Hi, Brooklyn. I have been okay, going through highs and lows as we all are, but can't really complain about my life. I think I have it pretty good. My basic necessities are covered. I have cute socks on today. Have you seen my toe socks? Gotta give the people a little bit of everything, you know? This is how you attract all sorts of viewership. It's where I learned that you can please everybody and nobody all at once. There's just too many of us to please now. And I think what happens is we often forget that we have to find ways to please ourselves first and foremost, because if you don't, you become pretty sad and miserable. And life is no longer fun. I've been giving out feet for free. It's just what I do. I hope all the nice people take advantage of it and all the creeps go enjoy it in a corner somewhere quietly. I don't really know how feet started becoming an actual source of fetishism on the internet. I find it hilarious. So the way that I joke about this culture of feet content and fetishism is to give away feet for free. I also just like giving away stuff without charging for it in terms of services, because I think it helps me to start reframing things differently. I don't think everything should be coming from a point of, can I profit off of this? I think a lot of the times that kind of thinking may seem stupid because we are still functioning within the context of capitalism, but also it's so damaging to feed into that framework, because your mentality is trained to really always reach for profit, and that is just not healthy, I don't think. Will you make more money? Will you be successfully, materially more well off? Yeah, I guess. But I just don't know if it's worth it for me to constantly reinforce and train my brain to think like that. I've been presented with opportunities, like people who want me to write books or participate in TV shows, and I don't think a lot of people think about these things in terms of, do they actually want to do it? I think they think about it in terms of, hell yeah, I want to do it. This is a way for me to move on up in the world. But under capitalism, we all become prostitutes. And at a certain point, if you have the ability and the privilege to do so, you need to get more selective of who your clientele is. You can't just be giving it to everyone. And you also gotta save a little bit of it for yourself, or you will just be run completely dry and empty. And I don't want to be run completely dry and empty by things that don't really bring me joy outside of societal, social ladder climbing, and money, because I saw the ways in which mom thought money and saving money and having money was the ultimate security, and I also saw that she never got to use her money, and she never got to cash in on her future. And so with the collapse of banks and how much I don't understand the basic economic theories, I just think it's all kind of fake, guys. Like, yes, we function off of this system and framework, but in its essence, it is empty as shit. Like, so empty. We just keep shitting this out, and then we keep eating our own shit, and then we get used to the taste of shit, and then we're like, wow, this shit tastes good. And then we filter language through this lens of shit is good. Like, when did shit become a good thing? How did we make the word sick mean that's really amazing? Like, language is so corrupted because our world has become corrupted, because our views of reality are so distorted that we no longer know what it is anymore, which is fine. This is what we call postmodernism. I very much enjoy the absurdities of postmodernism, but it's really scary and insidious when you forget that this is all very absurd. Don't lose track that this is the most absurd of all worlds we have framed ourselves into. Oh man, okay, yes, the packaging sucks, but this smell coming out of my oven is like the most amazing air freshener. This is not a scent I'm used to smelling come out of my oven or my kitchen. I would recommend you just buy a jar of this and roast whatever you want with it so you can perfume your house for guests. I'm going to try the master stock now on the last bit of cabbage. It has star anise, coriander, fennel, cinnamon, cloves, bay leaf, white pepper, ginger, black cardamom. So it's giving a very five-spice smell, like a Chinese five-spice smell almost, which is different, very different than the five-spice blend that Burlap and Barrel actually carries, which is a Vietnamese five-spice, which surprised me when I used it because I was not used to five-spice not smelling so salty. Like, it was savory. This one smells sweeter. So this one is more in line with the five-spice flavor profiles that I think I grew up with as a Chinese person. But surprise, five-spice is all over Asia, and there are different variations. So am I doing all the cabbage? I don't think I can make it fit, unfortunately, and these are going to be more steamed than anything, which is fine. I just don't have that much space. If you want a crispy cabbage, you should definitely not be overcrowding like this. This is like way too overcrowded, but I don't have time or space or equipment or patience. So it's gonna be steamed cabbage. Roasted is the method, steamed is the result. Steaming happens when you have way too much moisture for it to get dehydrated, which is exactly what's going to happen here because cabbage is mostly water. And when you crowd it like this, there's no real place for liquid to evaporate until you have dried out the entire tray. So don't do this if you want crispy. It's been 20 minutes. We're going to give things a flippies. maybe with a spoon, so that I'm not too masochistic right off the bat today. Just a little bit of masochism for fun. I'm gonna take off some of these leaves. They're gonna be extra crunchy chef snacks right now. Oh yeah, check out that golden. Check it out, check it out. Guys, friends are so crucial. I think one of you noted that I seem to be in a good mood today, and I think it's because when my middle school friend came over last night, we had a good chat about all aspects of life, and then we got talking to relationships, and I basically like trauma dumped on him with his consent. My dating fail that has like deeply affected me mentally and emotionally and like physically too, because my mental health affects my physical health quite drastically. Like it was, that episode, that dynamic was so, I think, unexpectedly detrimental that it really just kind of threw me back into my binge eating disorder and made my depression so much worse. But I think talking it out with someone else, and I've had friends talk with me throughout this entire process of trying to understand what happened, but just having that social network who can help you debrief and digest, it all works together. I talked to my therapist about it, and that helped. I talked to my girlfriends about it, and that helped. And then I talked to guy friends about it, and that helped. So just getting a little bit of perspective is so important. And also being open to admitting that things didn't turn out ideally, that you feel dumb about it. Well, let me just use my I statements. I felt really dumb about it. I felt like I was so dumb for having landed myself in this spot, and I think there's like a lot of shame that can happen out of these interactions that isn't so readily admitted, and it's become very healing for me to be able to admit what happened, to acknowledge the feelings of shame and guilt of my being blind, but also to acknowledge that I was learning, that this was my first time going through something like this, and that I also need practice on forgiving myself for making so-called perceived mistakes when they are very much just a part of the learning process. It's kind of like cooking. Jobs and dating is kind of like cooking too. You just have to experiment over and over and over again to learn what you can tolerate and what you like, and how much you can go off the beaten path, and how sometimes other people's advice doesn't actually work for you. Some ways of dating and cooking and functioning at a job can work for a lot of people, but it may not work for you. And so instead of having imposter syndrome because you can't seem to make yourself fit into this rule book that seemingly everyone else fits into, you're just making life so miserable for yourself by kind of shaming yourself into thinking you're not good enough to belong. But actually, a lot of the places that you are trying to belong to are just not good for you. It's not a fit for you. Sometimes my mind races, for sure. Ooh, oh my gosh. It's starting to smell like cocoa in my oven with all these different spices. That is a very weird thing. Let me read some of the comments, and then we're gonna get started on the grilled cheese. I'm a scream? What does that mean? Is a scream good? let me just come over and talk to you for 5 minutes. Scrolling back up, scrolling back up. Yes, Burlap and Barrel is the name of the spice company. I have an affiliate link in the description box if you want to buy and give me a kickback. You're more than welcome to use that link or not. I don't really care. I don't really need the money, but just in case. I guess that's also a good way for them to track where the orders are coming from. So like if you use my affiliate link, they'll know that you learned of the company through me. So that's like good data for them in terms of how far my reach is. Again, I'm truly not concerned with like the economical and money rewards that get kicked back. It's not that much. So it's more of like a, where are our orders coming from? What platforms can we use to get our brand out there more? Blah, 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 blah. You can make an infused oil with the contaminated spices. I could. Who remembers the pumpkin salt? I still have it. Where are you at, girl? I still have the pumpkin salt. Grandma's okay. Took her out for a little walk in sun, but it was too windy, so she asked to come back after half an hour. What is my favorite vegetable? Can't ask me that question. I would say carrot and cauliflower came to mind first, but I don't know if you had to give me only one vegetable for the rest of my life, what I would choose. I can't think about that. That's just so much emotional torment for me to decide. Hi, India, and hi, Brooklyn. Is that normal for all ovens? What's normal? I don't know what you're asking anymore. I only have the royal cinnamon. I don't have the Verum cinnamon. Verum cinnamon is Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is a lot more fragrant and a lot less sweet and not very like heatedly spicy the way that royal cinnamon is. I think royal cinnamon is probably the best seller. It's also what you would associate with the traditional cinnamon flavor the most. Verum cinnamon is a lot lighter, gentler, nuanced, floaty, elegant, and more of like a soul and less of a body. Does that make sense? Yes, pickled cabbage in the same jar with pickled beets and pickled cauliflower. I might chop up some of this cabbage and put it into our pickle jar. Pickled garlic. I love the Chinese version. In Xi'an, in China, in the Muslim district, they do this amazing whole head pickled garlic. It's sweet, it's crunchy, it turns like a little tiny translucent pink hue. It's beautiful, it's delicious, so good. My stance on Crocs, I might wear it one day, just not now. I wish they could make them look a little sexier. Money doesn't equal happiness. Sometimes it does. Depends on the person, depends on your situation. Also depends on how much money you have already. You're more than welcome to take a snip of the toe socks and put it on wherever you want on the internet. Girlfriend, once I put my anything on the internet, I know it's there for keeps. It's yours. What do they say? Mi casa es su casa? I don't know, man. My house is your house. Apparently, because you're all in it right now. Will I regret it? Maybe, but who doesn't have regrets going forward in life? Maybe if I model this reckless giving model enough, then more people would become more reckless and giving, and maybe within the span of 60 years, we can get more weirdos being more open about shit that we can make people to start feeling less bad and kind of cave industries that are built off of our insecurities slowly but surely. However, I don't know how much longer we have on this earth considering all of our sins accumulating so fast at this exponential speed of, it feels, what is that calculus term? Asymptotes? It feels asymptotic. Just like our rate of destruction is not decelerating anymore.
What's my go-to binge food? Unfortunately, it's peanut butter, and it makes me gain a lot of weight. But I know my cycles now enough to know that there's a effect due to this cause. I still do it, and I just allow myself to do it. I'm trying to practice forgiveness for my perceived weaknesses, and I think that is kind of like a double-wedged strength of sorts, to be able to acknowledge your weakness, accept it, allow it to happen, and be here to pick yourself back up at the same time. I think this is what developing a friendship with yourself means. It means less resistance, it means less blaming, it means less guilt, it means less shame, it means less violence against the self. So it is a practice. It is evolving. It requires patience, and it requires a very open mind and heart towards non-linearity. Non-linearity. Linearity? You know what I mean. I will not be attending pharmacy school. I have no medical background. I was never good at science. I'm a terrible Asian, academically speaking. Math and science, not my forte. I was always a literature girl. My parents are both writers and firmly in the humanities sector of braining, so there's no future for me in pharmacy school. Also, fuck big pharma. Like, cabbage piece in the air fryer. Ooh. Yes, garlic oil sounds so good. It's so weird how even a brief dating experience can affect you so deeply sometimes. Yeah. Yep. I think I just connected with so much of the person that I was presented with, and it kind of just all crashed. And then I was like, it's like when you slip on something like ice, black ice, that you didn't see. And the fall, the accident, the injury happens in such a split moment that once you're wiped out on the ground, you have the air knocked out of you from the impact. You have the brain trying to process what the fuck just happened. You have like this animalistic shriveling of fuck, gotta protect myself. Like, I don't know what's happening, but this isn't safe, and I'm not in a good place right now. And it's just all of these things happening all together, all at once, and you can't really understand it. And you're just like lost and disoriented and scared and fumbling, and also trying to gauge whether or not this is something you want to put yourself through again. Whenever a relationship fails, whether or not it was considered a official relationship, there was still a bond of some sort. Whenever that fails, it brings up a lot of past traumas, past bad experiences, past insecurities, and it's just a lot to deal with, a lot to process, and a lot to kind of comfort yourself through to the other side. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do for the last 3 months, guys. I didn't even know this person for more than 3 months. And it's gonna take longer for me to get over what the fuck happened in those 3 months than it actually took for me to form whatever the kind of fucked up bonds I formed. Which is kind of sad, but that's what life is. I do have an air fryer lid for my Instant Pot. It works okay. The outer edges of the tray almost always heat up more than the center because of surface area exposed. Think about the center of the tray being crowded together with other moist ingredients, and then think about the outside of the tray being extra exposed on one side. It's like the way the walls, the facade of a building absorbs more heat If you touch the side of a building in the middle of summer, it'll feel hotter than if you were to touch inside the building. Does that make sense? Hi, France. French. I took 7 years of French and I still can't speak it. So talk about time wasted. All right, I'm done with comments. Oh, did I just get like a little flutter of hearts? Did I just give that to myself accidentally? I don't know. Oh, these are very salty. Okay. I've also been stressing myself out a lot because of my lack of routine and schedule and structure in life, and I've been giving myself a lot of guilt because I am starting to regret taking on so many different kinds of freelance work that I have no time to make videos for myself, and I have no time to feel in a comfortable mental state that is relaxed and conducive enough for me to feel like I want to make videos. But I'm also learning that it's only been 4 months since I've had all these life changes of moving to a new place, of finally living on my own, of getting fired, of getting COVID, of negotiating what my life will be in the future. And so in the span of 4 months, I've done a lot of learning, and I think you guys will be here for when I am ready to push out my next video, hopefully. Rest assured, I want to make more videos for myself. I just need to find some time, and I will, but it will take some time to find some time. It is 3:75 currently. And I'm not a fan of burnt Brussels, but I'll go 5 more minutes. In the meantime, this tray of cabbage is steaming. Steamy. And it smells so 5-spice and savory. It almost smells like meat. This smell always reminds me of meat because I associate 5-spice with like my grandpa's meat stews a lot. So it smells like sweet cabbage with meatiness, which honestly, cabbage can be very meaty. It is a very versatile vegetable. And it is related to cauliflower, so no surprise that cauliflower wings are a thing for vegans who want to substitute out chicken wings for cauliflower wings. I do think some of the cauliflower wings I've had are very successful. So we give thanks to the cruciferous vegetable family, under which we have kale, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Anything that smells farty is probably cruciferous. I'm going to pour some of my salt on here too. This is the spilled salt with a proper lid attached. But this is why I save my spice jars. I like these. The problem with these is over time, this little joint breaks. So no packaging is without its faults and weaknesses, just like all of us, but we can constantly redesign and improve perceived weaknesses for hopefully better future experiences, or simply just to not repeat the same mistakes too many times. Hi, UAE. What up, what up? Running really low on this liquid, which is great because I think it's about time we toss the liquid after this batch. It was made in November of last year, so it's been 4 months. Still have not died or gotten sick from it yet, so I think we're fine to pickle some cabbage in here. And this pickle jar, this pickling project actually brings back some interesting memories of the failed whatever situationship. I won't go into it now, I'll just tease you a little bit. I'll just semi-trauma dump on you. What I found really useful, actually, using that as an example, is when I draw boundaries these days, I find that it helps me and potentially also the other person, if they actually care about my feelings and safety, is if I draw a boundary, I explain why I am drawing this boundary so that it doesn't get misinterpreted as something that the other person has done to cause me to shrivel back and shrink into a shell. Oftentimes, we simply need to put in protective measures for our own well-being because we have come to know ourselves well enough that we know going in one direction will cause us to feel better than going in the other direction, but other people do not understand us the way we understand ourselves. So I have this feeling that if I can work it out mentally to explain to myself why I'm setting this boundary, why not also offer the other person who hopefully cares about me the same reason as a way of explaining why I'm acting the way that I'm acting to try to eliminate as much potential for misunderstanding as possible. Misunderstanding is my biggest fear in life, I think, truly. It's my biggest existential fear in life. I don't want to be a bad person, but inevitably I will be somebody's bad person. If there is a way for me to negotiate being a bad person and still maybe explaining why I'm being horrible, that alleviates the guilt and shame of being a bad person. I can't avoid hurting other people. I will always hurt other people. One of the most formative writers that I read in college, from the singular most impactful class I ever took, which was postmodern religious thought, Emmanuel Levinas. I think his first name is Emmanuel. I don't know. Levinas is the last name. Levinas. He basically suffered through the concentration camps during World War II. And his whole idea, his most well-known idea is like the violence that is inherent in existing. Because in the camps, he would be given a piece of bread and he would be faced with the entirely hollow gaze of his fellow prisoners who are also starving. And so in that moment, he has this piece of bread that he can feed and nourish his own starving body with, or he can give it away to somebody else who is confronting him with the stare of hunger and emptiness. And he realized in that moment that every single moment of existence is filled with violence. Whether or not you chose to commit it, you will commit it. Because if he fed himself the bread, he's depriving his neighbor of nourishment. It's not his fault that they're both starving, obviously, but he is confronted with the choice of what to do with this piece of bread. And if he gives that bread away to his neighbor, then he is committing violence against himself because he's starving. So what do you do in life when you are confronted with this kind of kill or be killed option? It's lose-lose, right? It's like the trolley conundrum. cabbage is cheaper Brussels sprouts. They look exactly the same too. Have you had someone express clear romantic interest in you that you did not reciprocate? Yes. Of course. That's how life works, right? I like the people who don't like me back. And the people that I don't feel romantic feelings for like me romantically. It sucks. It feels like we're being played with by like a sadistic entity. I don't get it. I don't get it. It don't have to be this way. I did not do the grilled cheese yet. I'm so sorry. I take forever to do things. I know we're like an hour and a half in, but I'm gonna do it now. After I cut this cabbage. So I literally just lied to you again. Sorry. What I'm going to do with this cabbage is I'm going to toss it in a little bit of fish sauce and vinegar and just let it kind of wilt in the fridge, and that way I'll have a nice little cabbage salad. We'll go in with a little bit of apple cider as well. Knife suggestions? You have to think about not only what the construction of the blade is like, what the handle is like, but also what your hand size is, what your handedness is. Sometimes knives are not a 50-50 bevel on the edge, so if you're left-handed like me, it might be fitted for a righty. You have to think about how the size fits into your hand. You have to think about how much you cook. You have to think about what you tend to cook. There's a lot of considerations, so I can't just give you a knife suggestion. What I can suggest is that you go into a store and try holding a knife in your hand, seeing the weight of it. I recommend holding a knife like this, without your fingers around the handle, just pinching it with your thumb and your index and feeling the weight of it. If this is a weight that feels not too heavy for you, this is going to be a knife that feels comfortable once you're chopping with it repeatedly. You want to think about how much your hand is covering the handle. If the handle is too big, it might hit your wrist, your arm, it might be very uncomfortable. You want to think about the construction up top here. If it's really edged like mine is, over time it will cut into the flesh of your finger right here, and it will give you a callus if you use it too much on too hard of a thing. You want to think about knife maintenance. This is made with high carbon knife. The metal, high carbon, is prone to rusting, which means you should be drying it always. Not to say that if it rusts, it's the end of your life, but stainless steel might be a better option if you like to bang around your knives a lot more. High carbon is a lot more brittle, so it's more prone to chips, and if you crash it on the floor, it might actually break the tip. So yeah, a lot of things. There's different knife shapes. This is a Santoku. It's a multi-purpose knife. If you like to chop a lot of hard things and hack through things, I recommend a cleaver. Also know that not all cleavers are created equal. There are vegetable cleavers, which are really good if you like to use your knife blade as a shovel to get the food that you just chopped off of the board and into the pot. Or if you cook a lot of meat and like to hack through bone, you can't use a vegetable cleaver on that because you will probably damage the blade since it is constructed for more gentle objects like vegetables. That might require a meat cleaver, which is something that I bought, which is something that you definitely can use on vegetables. I have, but this is more appropriate for things like kabocha squash, pumpkins, things that you have to hack through. It has a much wider blade thickness, so that, you know, even if you have a sharp edge, you have this kind of sturdy metal structure that won't really bend. It tapers down towards the edge like that. This is a lot harder to sharpen because there's more metal, and all things to keep in mind. Thank you for dropping in and telling us you like it. Definitely ended up burning the Brussels a little bit, but that's fine. Okay. Is it time for grilled cheese? I think it is. I think it is. Whoa, look at this little guy that flew off and tried to escape. Right here. What are you doing, little guy? I think you're gonna be a nice little chippy. Mmm. Nice and filled with carcinogenic burn. All right. I only have 2 slices of bread, so I can only test this grilled cheese once. So let's hope I get it right. And if I don't, tough luck. Where is the spice that I need? Oh God, I need to organize this. Here we go. Nigella, it makes a comeback. Okay. Gonna toast our seeds. My chat is frozen. Am I still live? LOL. Maybe it's just nobody's talking, huh? Oh, good. Thank you for letting me know that you're still here. I have to grow comfortable with the silence. It's the Nigella seed that we used in the cracker, and I just want to say to you that these crackers are fucking amazing. I ate so much yesterday, and they go perfect with brie. So good with like a creamy, melty brie. Honestly, way better than maybe even wheat thins. Okay, let's see what I said to do here. Wasa crackers cut my mouth up so bad, so no, I don't actually like them at all. I need to set a timer for this process, so let's go for 18 minutes since we already used 2. I need some butter, so we will cut some butter up. This is a very lovely bread that I got with Dan. You might have seen this bread if you watched the Depression Week video. It's I don't even know how to say it, but I think it's a Ukrainian bread. It's made with mostly rye flour and dark wheat flour, and really, really delicious. If you did not soften your butter, like I did not soften my butter, what I like to do is trim it off the sides where it's melting the fastest, and just like kind of shaving off the edges of the log of butter. But yes, I normally like mayo on my grilled cheese. Actually, that's fake news because I actually don't love grilled cheese. I don't love sandwiches. Does that make you feel any differently about me? I'm not a fan of sandwiches. I love bread. I love things that usually go in bread. I just don't like them together. I have a habit of breaking sandwiches apart and eating the components separately. When I tell people that, they are shocked. They don't understand. They cannot compute in their brains. But sometimes I just feel like a good old butter crust. So that's what I'm doing. Here we go. We're gonna toast the butter side up first because I wanna get the bread warm on the inside so that once we place the cheese on it, the cheese gets a head start on the melt. I really hate it when you get the buttered sides of the bread toasted to perfection and then the cheese still hasn't melted. So And I've already trimmed up my cheese. This was from yesterday, unfortunately, so they look a little bit dried out and sad, but it's a combination of Gouda and cheddar. I'm going to be adding a little bit of hot paprika to mine. This is actually another new spice that I haven't yet opened, so let's try it. This is, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it comes from Hungary, 178 hot paprika. Does anybody know how to pronounce this properly? Because I really don't feel like butchering it. So I'm gonna toast it until the butter starts melting a little bit more. And I need to shave some cheese that I did not shave. Okay, I think we're ready. You can see it, you can see the butter kind of melting through. Now we flip. Now we layer. Turn the heat down to a medium-low. So we're gonna do Nigella on one of these slices. And I think maybe I only need half a teaspoon and not a whole teaspoon. This is why we test things. And I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. And black pepper. thing is, if I'm developing a recipe, I gotta do something different, right? Because nobody really, let's face it, nobody needs to be taught how to make a grilled cheese. It's literally bread and cheese melted together. So if I'm developing a recipe, I have to make, this is how our industries are formed. We make things that are not necessary, and then we have to make it special enough that it makes people want to make it, buy it, be it, do it. So, just something to think about. Cheese is getting melty. And I also have some of that farm school basil that is slowly dying in my fridge. So I actually think the basil could work. Turn the heat off. And then we got it. Ooh, that's spicy! That's a spicy paprika. That is very spicy. I have to think about where to put this. I will need to take a photo of it. But that took approximately 10 minutes. Food styling 101 is after you cut the grilled cheese, you smush it back together to let the cheese kind of congeal a little bit more, and then you go for the cheese pull. There's only cutting your sandwiches diagonally, guys. Who, you cannot tell me you cut it horizontally. problem with grilled cheese is that it dies very quickly. In terms of styling, anything cheesy is the hardest thing to style because cheese congeals super fast. It does not wait for food styling to happen. And the problem with grilled cheese is you often have to play with angling it to show off all the components of the sandwich. So far I've had no successful shots yet. And I might not be able to, because the cheese is already solidified. I'm also facing the wrong angle, of course. And I also have no proper backdrop for this, hilariously enough. Okay guys, let's go eat. We fully butchered it. Get the picture and then decide if it's good enough of a recipe. Because the picture will not wait for anyone. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this slice first because you can see the nigella seeds in here. That's pretty good. Wow. We did good, guys. I don't know if you ever doubted me, but we did good. Chat is getting spicy. We're talking about bon appetit. fascinating. How did we get on this topic? Let's drink some tea. Okay. I think our cabbage is done. Everything is done at the same time. Oh, she's toasty. She's very toasty. Yes. Oh, their grilled cheese video was boring. What grilled cheese video? I stopped watching. I have a confession. Ever since I got fired, I stopped watching food media. Like all food media. I used to watch Mikey Chen and Mark Wiens and all these other food vloggers with Aaron too. I think ever since I got fired, ever since I moved out, I just stopped watching all food media. So I'm very like hermited right now. You know what I just realized? I don't think I washed the basil leaves. Oops. I hope they're clean. But I definitely want more basil in my sandwich to make me feel more balanced today, so we'll eat more of those. Check out all that Nigella. We're turning this into a salad. Is this what self-care means? Thanks, Portia. Oh my god, guys. This is so fucking good with basil. Mmm. More basil, please. Can we make this a thing? We should make this a thing. A basil grilled cheese, but like loaded with basil. This is really nourishing. I'm so happy we did this together, and that hot paprika is so nicely spicy. Just like me spicy. I wish, girl, I wish. Okay, so, yes, corporate greed can go suck it. It is very sad, but I am hopeful that the media industry is coming around to unionize across the board. I'm holding on to hope that the industry will be a very different place in the next 5 years, but don't get too hopeful. I am curious. What do you miss about the videos that you used to see me do on Delish? Like, is there something that you would like to see me incorporate stylistically? I'm not equipped to do like graphics and design, so all of those cool grocery haul illustrations are not going to be possible. And I'm also not going to really change my videos based on your responses because I'm just not really able to. I don't have the tools, the skills, or the time. But I am still curious. I know. Budget Eats was really appealing to people. Not just because I was hosting it, but because it was real content that dealt with real issues surrounding how a lot of people live in terms of not having a lot of money to devote to cooking. And it was fun and innovative, and I understand why it was very popular, but I also can't touch that. That's Hearst's property now. Yeah, walking around town and buying bites here and there, that's something that I definitely want to do. And I want to do it with friends. I want to like go around New York City with friends and eat with friends. Definitely turning that more into like a vlog style. I just think it's really cool to have other people in a video with me because I think I thrive when I interact. Which is why I like doing these live so much because I'm interacting with you all in a lot of ways. I don't do well with scripts. I've never done well with scripts. Oh. Guys, if you like a mild cayenne with the flavor of fresh bell pepper, I think you might really love that Hungarian hot paprika that I just used. It is making my tongue evenly toasty. It's hitting like the back of my molars a little bit, around the edges of my upper palate. The edges of my tongue are very warm. And the back of my throat is getting a little bit attacked. But it's not like painful. It just makes me feel like I had a good shot of whiskey. But the flavor is really nice. I think arugula would totally work. Yeah, if you like the spicy pepperiness of arugula, same idea. What was your experience like with the expensive versus cheap food for Cosmo? Like shoot experience? It was fine. Cosmo is owned by Hearst. I went to the same place that I usually go for work to shoot that. It's in the same Hearst tower. So I was pretty familiar with everyone who was on that shoot already. Shooting that was a easy breezy fun project for me, and I enjoyed being so wrong at so many things. I did do something similar, right? My H Mart haul video followed a shopping experience, breaking down the unit price of each item, and then me cooking with it, but it's not really budget eats because I didn't finish using all of these ingredients. I didn't calculate per meal prices. It's a lot more freewheeling. Bread with lard, bit of red onions, Hungarian paprika. That sounds really good. The lard is more like a fatty bacon, right? It's not like straight up fat. It's like solidified and sliceable. I think I've had that before from Parrot Coffee and Groceries in Sunnyside. They have a lot of like Mediterranean products and cheeses and meats. Wow. Haven't had a grilled cheese in probably over 2 years. I'm having trouble understanding your question about whether or not I jarred all that food. Which food? Yeah, truly. I wouldn't have been able to make that depressed food video if I were still at Delish, obviously. They would have never published something like that. And, you know, even views-wise, it's not doing nearly as well as the H Mart one, but it's still very much content that I like to make because I just like... These videos are basically a vessel, a vehicle, whatever you want to call it, a medium through which I explore uncertainty in life, and that comes in a lot of different ways. So that's why I don't want to like sink myself into a hole of themed videos that follow a very specific structure, because I feel like that in itself is like killing myself. Oh shit. We need to make the almond butter. I mean, we don't need to make it, but I would like to make it so that when my friend wants it, I'll have it ready for him. I'm also gonna open the window. It's really cold. It's really hot in here and I need some cold. Okay, cool. Are we gonna burn this out? Very possibly. Let's try to make sure I'm not doing too many almonds in there all at once. That was the most delicious burp I've had in this entire year so far. Cheese, crusty buttered rye bread, paprika, basil, black pepper, a little bit of onioniness from the nigella, just like that. Basil. Basil. Here's what I don't like about grilled cheese. I just ripped the roof of my mouth up because of how crusty the bread got. But I wanted the bread that crusty because I like hearing that crunch and I like tasting the toastiness. But every time I eat a goddamn grilled cheese, I have mouth wounds all over. Anyone else or just me? I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Spleen tastes like less gamey liver. A little bit more tender and silkier in texture, less grainy. If the algorithm is not pushing the depressed video because of the word depression in the title, fuck the algorithm. Could I be smarter about not titling videos a certain way? For sure. Smarter in terms of wanting to play the game according to the game's rules, or even outsmarting the game's rules in a way that benefits me without having to sacrifice my integrity or stubbornness or whatever you want to call it. But that takes extra work, and sometimes I just like being fucking dumb and stubborn. Part of the freedom of living is choosing to do the wrong thing, knowing the consequences of your actions. That is agency, my friends. Having the freedom and the resources to be able to make these choices that other people will seemingly feel like a mistake. Why not? It's like when rich people have so much money, they just like throw it all away on random ass shit. Like, in a way, this is playable capital for me to do things the wrong way that doesn't appease the algorithm. I don't need it. I don't need the algorithm because my goal isn't to get 100,000 views. I mean, it would be nice. I wouldn't mind having a bigger audience, but I'm also not distraught. So, as long as I keep in mind what my goals are in making these videos, which is to make them, then I'm there. Hi, Germany. Thank you so much for keeping out an eye for marriageable material for me. Just a correction, I don't need them to be tall. I would prefer a man. But if it's purely for political reasons, I'm down to be married to a woman, but height is not. It's not in my list of top 5 criteria. I actually think that I would prefer a man who's like closer to my height, like 5'6", 5'7", than I would want someone who's like 6'3". I do think there is such a difference that can be too much for me in terms of height. I think anyone above 6 feet might feel too distant from me in a way that I almost can't like see eye to eye, literally. Think about it. The way you look at the world changes depending on how tall you are. Your perspective literally changes depending on your height. And I think it does change the way you approach situations and people and relationships because you are afforded a very different point of view. A lot of these things aren't just superficial. They actually have like interpersonal dynamic consequences. So obviously, like, there's a part of me that is still gendered enough by societal standards and desires and ideals that I'm just like, if a guy is 5'3" like me, it might feel really awkward and like unideal at the superficial level, but I would rather a 5'3" man than a 6'3" man if we're gonna go that superficial. Weird. Is it weird? 160. So I'm like 163 centimeters. That's 5'3". Does that give you a better idea? As a person who doesn't think about sex that much, I haven't even thought about height differences when it comes to sex. Whoa. Fascinating. Fascinating. Hi, Minnesota. The story of the flower tattoo? There's not a story. I just chose it out of the flash designs that the artist had already drawn. It is working. Unfortunately, with this Vitamix, Erin bought me the squat container, which I do not recommend. There's something off about the engineering of this squat container. It just doesn't have the efficient whirlpool action of the tall blender top that comes with all the original Vitamixes. So if you are thinking about investing in a Vitamix, I really recommend that you go with that taller original top. I just find that it blends better. There's a lot less need to finagle with it as much as I am right now. What's happening is the bottom of the nuts are turning into butter, but the top are dry and crumbly and they just get pushed up the sides, and then eventually the motor burns out. you hear it stop working, really. We'll just have to be patient. It'll work eventually. I can smell the motor burning. It's gonna burn out soon. So I could cut it a break. Think about maybe adding some sugar in now and a little pinch of salt while it chills out a little bit. I add about a table to 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then I add a little sprinkle of salt. And then if we want, we can go in with olive oil, but oil only after it's turned into butter, because it might fuck with the creaminess of it. Fan my motor, call it beautiful. I might do that. She is beautiful. Maybe it's working. I don't know, man. Is it possible to use a normal blender to do almond butter? I'm not sure. It really depends on how crappy the motor is, whether or not you have the patience to wait for it to burn out and come back to life again. Vitamixes burn out too, so I would recommend you do this in a food processor. I just don't have one. Get a food processor that's $80 or $90 and it should be able to make pretty decent nut butters. But that's not to say it won't burn out, it might. Good Brussels. Fantastic. This seasoning is really nice on Brussels if you want to kind of cloud over the more fartiness of Brussels sprout flavors. Let me give you a little bit of a crunch. It's almost a little bit like a hint of lime tortilla chip. fan it and call it beautiful. I'm willing to do a collaboration with anyone. It just depends on what the dictations are, you know? Like, I don't hate anyone. What I've learned from my time being fired is that I don't hate individuals. I don't have a problem with individuals because whatever they do to me is under the context of what the system demands of them. And their relationship to the system changes their dynamic with me. So I need to make sure that I'm in a good environment where those toxic dynamics are not encouraged. The problem is when you are all stuck in a system that nurtures toxicity and competition in a very destructive way. And it's not just self-destruction, it's also destroying other people. And when you, by default of the culture, are encouraged to destroy other people to get ahead, you are also self-destroying. Because if we go back to the principles of Levinas, existence is violence. So any violence you do is a violence upon the self. I don't think it's within our nature to be violent. I think we would all prefer peace at a fundamental level. But it's only because of the systems that we've created, or maybe nature's chaotic systems also encourage violence. Whatever it may be, I think violence creates fear and discomfort in all of us, and I would like to just fucking distance myself away from that element as much as possible. So currently this is what we have. We are very close. We are very close. But I'm a little worried that we might be burning out. I think we might make it, guys. Looking real good. The key I've discovered is try to keep the motor on the lowest level possible, especially if you have a Vitamix. And once most of the butter is smoothed out, I can push the motor because I'm not afraid of it burning out really. We're here. We did it. Nice. Smooth. Smooth. I hope my friend fucking appreciates me. Wait, what was I multitasking on? I thought I was just making almond butter. Okay. We're gonna give our cabbage a little shaky do. Oh wow, fanning is considered multitasking too? Then yeah, girl, I'm a fucking god. Look at that. Look at that gorgeousness. Trader Joe's ain't got nothing on this. Girl, this is premium shit. I will never ever go back to store-bought almond butter after this. Peanut butter is also better when you make it at home, but peanut butter is so cheap that it's cheaper to just buy the peanut butter than to buy the peanuts and then make it myself. It's often a cheaper unit price to buy the butter. So sometimes for my cheapness, I just buy the peanut butter. But for almond butter is so expensive. And when I have Patel nearby and I can get unit price of $6 or cheaper per pound almonds, there's no excuse for me to not make my own almond butter. And I can customize it however I want, and it is delicious. Just look at it. Look at it go. I do recommend refrigerating homemade butters, yes. Always refrigerate anything that has this much fat. Honestly, even oils should be fridged if you know you're not going to go through it fast enough, but nobody's got that much fridge space just hanging around. Well, some people do, but those people probably don't have to worry about things going bad. The people who need things will always need more things than the people who don't need things. Isn't that ironic? Our world is so fucked up. Isn't it ironic? Okay, I'm gonna sign off and try to do work before I go take my daily walk for mental health. But thank you so much for joining me on this delightfully, relatively successful Wednesday. I wish you the best of luck in navigating the rest of your week, and I'll see you when I see you next. Capiche? Stay hydrated. I've stopped taking my vitamins. Maybe that was a terrible choice. Maybe I should go back to taking my vitamins, actually. Huh. I wonder if that has anything to do with my depression slide. Weird. Too many thoughts. Bye.